Meta of tomorrow, Centurion? Let's talk about it.
So guys, I think the most wonderful part about this deck is that it definitely has a strong consistency factor to it. It will not miss on any opening hand because they all kind of connect to each other. We'll explain that in a really simple combo that's easy for anybody to understand. But I'm first one to start off with talking about the cards. Centurion Primera basically says while this card is treated as a continuous trap, level 5 or higher Centurion monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, and also you can only use each of the following effects of Primera once per turn. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Centurion monster from your deck to your hand, except Centurion Primera. Also, you cannot special summon Centurion Primera for the rest of the turn, so make sure that you understand that they're locked out of being able to special summon that card again. Otherwise, we would just have all kind of madness ensue. But being able to add any Centurion card is really key. And it's really basic and not that hard to understand. That one of these cards that say Centurion, you get to add it to your hand. Most of the time you want to go straight for the field spell or for the Trudea, but obviously as they build on the archetype, stuff can change. Trudea obviously does pretty much the same thing during the main phase. You can place this card though, as well as a Centurion monster from your hand or your deck, except Trudea itself, face up in your spell or trap zone as continuous traps. Also, you cannot special summon Centurion Trudea for the rest of the turn, so the same drawback effect as well. And also during the main phase, and that does mean either main phase, while this card is treated as a continuous trap, you can special summon this card, then you can increase its level by 4, which also can be really key. And the last card we want to talk about is Centurion Emmet, which basically I feel is a hand trap dodger, an imperm dodger, or just a way for something to be able to resolve, as well as just have another level to play with. As far as an 8 being able to combine with a level 4 tuner, it's just really interesting. But anyways, Centurion Emmet says during your opponent's turn, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, quick effect, you can target one Centurion monster you control, except Centurion Emmet, 6, place face up in your spell or trap zone as a continuous trap, and if you do special summon this card, also you cannot special summon this card for the rest of the turn. And during the main phase, while it is treated as a trap, you can special summon this card. So they all kind of float in and out. So let's get into what I'm talking about, and then we'll explain why this amount of cards, and even removing Ash Blossom down to about 21 cards in your engine, really means this is a mid-range deck that you can do a lot with. Kind of like Salamangreat, kind of like Orcus, there's just a lot you can do. With that being said, let's get into talking about it. First off, I wanted to show Centurion Primera, which basically is the wheels to everything, the Stratos to everything. Basically, starting off with that, you'll be able to normal summon and then add the field spell. To my knowledge and my understanding, I would always want the quick effect Synchro, which is kind of formula synchronish. Being able to give you that effect to Synchro during your opponent's turn mainly is when you're really going to want it to pop off. But mainly just to have it in general, because you can use it at any time. Basically, if a monster is special summon, that is. Activating the field spell, thus we get to discard a card, send a card to the graveyard, to then put Centurion Trudea into the backfield. As you've seen, during your main phase, if this card was activated, send one card from your hand to the grave and then place one Centurion monster from your deck or face up in your spell or trap zone as a continuous trap. This is now a continuous trap. This now gets to use this effect as a continuous trap, which is really key. Trudea is going to summon itself, and then it's going to basically place itself back into the backfield again, the spell and trap zone again, to be able to put Centurion Emmet into the spell and trap zone as well, due to its own effect. Then you would basically be able to summon it out of the spell and trap zone, then synchro summoning into 12 again. Being able to manipulate levels, you don't really need to right here. This just goes directly into the 12. Centurion Legatia basically says your monsters with 2,000 or less cannot be destroyed by battle. So if they have 2,000 or less attack, they cannot be destroyed by battle. Really strong actually, but it's still kind of like the Manadium card. Is it that powerful? Well, yes, because it gives you a card when it's special summoned. It gives you a card, then you get to basically have a little bit of spot removal that may come in clutch just when you need it. And during the end phase, it basically loads up these guys again to be put back into the spell and trap zone, and thus give you effects on your opponent's turn. That's what makes this deck so consistent. Now, in this case, I wanted to feature the statue as well as the Apophis. In this this is just my recommendation. Playing these cards is actually interesting, but you can easily go into mainly either playing 3 of the Apophis and 1 of this, or you can go into playing cross out and stuff like that, because this deck does have a weird loss kind of to certain hand traps at certain times. But that's just, it's besides the point. It's not like Horus where it just is going to die outright to hand traps. You just may get caught by a specific hand trap. But this deck can play through immense amount of hand traps without having any kind of problem whatsoever. Anyways, guys, having this behind this, when these guys come out, if this card is already out onto the field, if a card is special summoned from your spell or trap zone to the monster zone while this card is a monster, you're going to have continuous pops. So basically getting this on the field will put pops behind it. I feel like that's relatively decent, especially with a card like Apophis to be able to block cards like Dark Ruler, cards like Evenly Matched. You really have a really strong presence to start off with this archetype. So again, guys, and going into this, I really feel the base of the deck is this. You know, obviously remove like the Upstart or whatever, and Bonfire will be out very, very soon. So, you know, just in case you can't get a hold of them, you have Prosperity or something to fill in that gap, then that's not necessarily essential, although I would want to get to this Pyro card, Trudea, every single time. As far as mixing it in with other stuff, you can go into Book of Moons and all of the stand. I guess I could just fill it out really quick for you. Cross out, talents, you know, just the standard stuff, guys, to pretty much get you to the point where you can have a strong starter deck, I guess, to be able to know where to start with. This is how I always start off any kind of meta that I'm playing in. If hand traps are better, I start off with them. If board breakers are better and this deck can board break, then I go with that. Or you just kind of have a happy mix, or you come up with crazy ideas like Zeroa can mix into this deck very, very easily. Then making Zeroa control actually kind of relevant for now, and being able to pretty much lock your opponent out of whatever they wanted to summon anyway. It's kind of idling them out of stuff. So I mean, it's whatever this gap of cards, that 19 gap of cards, you got a lot that you can do with, and this could obviously be like 3 Veilers right here. You know, it's just that smooth, it's that easy, and you're pretty much in a good spot going from there. So clearly, in moving on to talking about some of the other stuff, I do want to show what happens when you open up Trudea, which basically is the wheels to, it's the secondary wheels to everything. You're basically putting it out onto the field and then placing it back into the spell or trap zone like you saw in the last combo, to do the same thing with Primera, which basically means you open Primera anyway, which means they can search each other and kind of bounce off of each other and have a good response within the game of being able to give you some kind of resource to be able to go off every single time. That's what I said, this deck's consistency is probably the highest we've seen maybe ever. I'm not gonna say ever, because there's always been some deck that just would not ever miss on opening. Maybe like Burning Abyss would be more consistent technically, but like I'm pretty sure if you put all this in a calculator, it's insane. Anyways, guys, the same setup that you saw before, being able to put cards into the spell and trap zone and then into the monster field, then Primera pretty much bringing itself out, putting another one in the backfield, Emmet bringing itself out, making you get the level 12, giving you a card to draw. In the end phase, putting another Centurion back into the spell or trap zone. Then on their turn, pretty much summoning out on their turn. That's just, there's so much. And to what I mean is, at the end of the day, what you're going for is to go into the Crimson Dragon play, and then I would guess, unless they hit Calamity, and I don't feel like even if they hit Calamity, you still have the Quasar guy, the Cosmic Blazar guy, excuse me. So like even if they hit that, say, Cosmic Blazar is still a really, really powerful card to go into. So it's like you still get a negate, you still get to blow them out, basically solemn them out of a summon, pretty much. And then when your opponent declares an attack, you get to negate the attack and end the battle phase anyway. So just in case you have a vulnerable board, they can't attack over it anyway. So I mean, guys, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot more we could add in. I obviously wanted to add in at the end of this that you can mix it very well with Eldritch, and again, cards like Apophis, the Swamp Deity I was talking about before. actually being able to protect you from cards like Ghost Ogre, not necessarily Ghost Ogre. There is something I want to talk about in a split second with Imperial Custom, but Apophis being able to block out all of the blowouts like evenly and all that. You may want to just give it a try. It can slip right into Eldritch and do very, very well. But I definitely had to talk about all of the different techs that you could try. I still feel like there's something with a lot of the Bestial stuff. I really feel like Typhoon and Ghost Ogre are going to be really, really powerful counters to everything that you're trying to do. So you got to be kind of ready for that. I feel like Droplet may catch you at the right time and kind of hurt your chances of winning. And then obviously you got the horror stuff and all kind of other techs to kind of mix in with. The horror stuff is really, really cool. And then being able to give yourself free fodder, just in case you don't open these, you still have a way to kind of give yourself free fodder to dump cards into the grave, to be able to get the horses into the grave, to be able to spam them back out and then spam out rank 8 plays, which is absolutely insane, and set up your draws to basically be able to always open up well. Hell, I feel like this stuff might actually get in the way of just how consistent Centurion is. Guys, let me know what you think about this deck. How good is it going to be down in the comments? What do you feel like could also counter it a little bit better than maybe even a Typhoon or a Ghost Ogre? Because they're definitely going to matter. And definitely look out for tech cards that you can use if you're planning on playing this deck, like Imperial Custom, like Apophis Swamp Deity, and like Statue of Anguish pattern. Hell, even if you're an ABC player, I'm sure there's something you can figure out. Good luck. It's going to be a lot of fun. Shout out to the Crimson Red Dragon Archfiend stuff too. It's also crazy and gives you a big blowout. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Pegasus out. Arrivederci.